This first round of shots is very loud. You can hear it, intense, very close. Remember that. Please remember that for the next part of my video as we move forward here. Then there's a pause, and then there's some distant shooting. You'll hear it after a long pause.
It sounds like automatic gunfire. Now it sounds like it's coming from farther
Now
away.
the car that comes near the cabbie comes around that little roundabout, pulls around, and then there's a beep. I think they're telling the cabbie to move. Please, give some room to this car. So she starts to move forward. Now, as she's moving forward, you hear this very loud volume, very loud, intense. Remember this, it's so loud and so close. As she's going underneath the archway here, she turns away. It's so loud, she starts to roll up her window. Now just remember, if she comes out of the tunnel here, at the very end, you're still hearing the same gunfire going off, but it's more muted because the window is up. Now remember that is up for the next part of this video here. Now she waits, and then at this point there is a recording that she inadvertently does of her left rear view mirror. Now you can see some kind of bursts of some kind of muzzle flash. It's coming out, it's big, and it's in sequence with now the somewhat more muffled sound, which, as you just recall, is still part of the same intensity as the shooting that was going on. It was very loud and very close when she was on the other side of the archway, and as she was moving forward and through the archway, she rolls up the window and it becomes more muted to the sound that it is now. So please remember this as we go forward into this analysis. She came in to this entrance here, right in here. She came in this way, and then as she paused and waited, you could see that her car was right about here. There's this little turnabout where the car near her came through. At first, in her first 3 seconds of her recording, she heard a very loud gunshot sequence, and then there was a pause, and a car made rounds, and she was positioned right here. And then after that, another pause, and then she heard some distant gunfire after about a minute. It's definitely not a echo. Here's where the concert was, over here somewhere. There's a construction site over here, and Health Ranger determined that there was a second shooter somewhere. Sorry about that, my map flipped around there, but somewhere in about a 250-yard radius from this epicenter of the concert, which was right here. So he even speculated there could have been someone over here. There was other places as well. This map is a little out of date, but there could have been some spots over here where there was potential. And I saw one of the videos where one of the people who was being shot at was pointing in this direction over here as far as where the shots were coming from. So we're not sure where that distant shooter was at first. But what I wanted to point out, it's very interesting, is that she was waiting right here, and she heard very loud. I mean, not even just as loud as would be coming from maybe up in these windows up here, which is where they say Paddock was. He's up in this room here where my mouse is. One of the windows that was knocked out was right about here. However, when she started driving through this little archway here, this valet registration arch has a little sign that hangs down here. It was very loud, intense, and it was like as if it was right above her, not above in the building, but literally right above her somewhere. And then she came around, she pulled through here, and she went and she waited in about this position here. Now there's these lamps. You can see these lamps here that are that my mouse is pointing out. They are behind her. They were behind her. I think she was about in this position here. And at about I think about like close to
Something's
the
going on.
2-minute mark. I want to say 156 mark in her video. She is inadvertently filming her left side rear view mirror. So the left side rear view mirror captures what looks like fairly large, substantial muzzle flashes or fire coming out of something that's not way above her in this 30-second foot, floor, which her rear view mirror would never catch, but something closer down to the ground level. And it was below there's these bulbs in these light posts here. And if you look at her rear view mirror capture, the muzzle flash is about 4 to 5 feet long horizontally, and they're coming out below the bulbs of one of these. I can't remember exactly which lamp it is, but there's one of these lamps that's behind her. Again, her car is right here, and the muzzle flash are coming out somewhere in alignment that would show it's below one of the bulbs of one of these lamps. Now, one thing I noticed in all this, as I was looking around at this, is a couple of things. At first I thought maybe this would be a nice little place for a gunner to set up, because look, when you look downrange from that, you go straight through, and you look downrange from that position there, look at what you got. You got a perfect shot. Now, the health ranger determined that there were 2 shooters, one with 250 yards, so it could have been over here for the second shooter, the distance shooter that she heard. But the close shooter that she heard was 450 to 475 yards, which would put that shooter at the Mandalay Bay. Now, 475 yards is in circumference, it's not in height. So it could have been someone from here or up here on the 32nd floor area. But when you look down here, look at what you got here. A perfect little roof spot. Now look at that. That is just absolute perfect shot distance and clear line of sight to shoot from. Now the other thing I want to point out about this position here, and again, she drove underneath this archway, and the shooting became very, very loud. I mean, so loud that it was like right on top of her. Now, when you look at this terrain that's behind this little area here, think about where you got to go to get out of the situation once you've done shooting. You run over this roof. This is all roof line. This is all big roof, big elevated roof, huge expansive roof area. And you run back in the dark, in the shade, and look at what's back here. Well, what do you know? Look at this, a huge parking lot. Huge. You hop over this little wall here, you scale this. Any fairly in shape special ops, black ops, merc type of person, easily throw their gear up over this wall here, get in the car, and they are gone. They are just gone to the wind. No one would ever know the better. And they can blame everything on Paddock, put him up as a patsy. And look at that. You got yourself a perfect egress. Perfect. You run back. Everybody's out in the front, running, going around, going crazy, trying to find out where this all coming from, all this distraction running around. You got your other shooter over here causing chaos. They're shooting at the fuel tanks in the back here, trying to pin people into a kill zone. Everybody's stranded in here. The lights were still on from the exit lights, shooting going on everywhere, and nobody paying attention to somebody running back from this position here across this big old roof line. And I have not seen this pointed out in any other videos that I've seen. Maybe someone else has pointed this out, but look at this. I thought that was very, very interesting.